Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live on TV3. I am Wendy Lai. Coming up this afternoon. Alumni of Atlantic Hall of University of Cape Coast threaten lawsuit following rustication of 21 students linked to bloody clashes in March. Contractor working on Wa airstrip pledges to fix portions of projects deemed shoddy following government suspension of his payment. We will be speaking to him live. And Ghana Integrity Initiative speaks on customs and ports concerns. On the firing front, U.S. President Donald Trump arrives in Israel amid tight security. So we have many more coming up shortly. Let's start with our stories now. And we look at one of our headline stories, customs, specifically in the ports as well, and officers of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, have been interdicted for allegedly causing a huge financial loss to the state. The interdiction of the officers, comprising 4 females and 11 males, followed their purported concerns and connivance with certain companies to evade duties and taxes. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia last week gave the strongest indication of a cleanup at the ports. 9 of the interdicted officers operate under the Tema Sector Command, whilst the remaining are spread over the other commands. The Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division will not confirm or deny the reports. Now, joining me via phone this afternoon is Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Linda Ofoekwafo. Good afternoon, Linda, and thanks for agreeing to speak with us.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Linda, now there have been concerns specifically with customs and the ports on some reassignments and also interdiction of their personnel. But what do you make of this in the first place? How best can this issue be dealt with?
Thank you very much. If it has to do with trying to deal with allegations of corruption or corruption itself in such institutions, then several methods can be adopted. And I believe, because corruption is a crime or bribery is a crime, so anytime such actions will have to be taken, proper investigations would have been conducted into the matter before an action of this nature could happen. And so I'm really sure something of this nature had happened. If you remember recently, the Ghana Integrity Initiative and other partners like the GACC and Send Ghana, we launched a report that was titled Corruption is Eating Us Up under a USAID-funded activity called Others. And one of the institutions that came top was the Customs Division of GRA. Subsequent to that, we have been engaging with them to see how we can help address the problem of corruption that has affected the institution and its delivery for some time now. And subsequently, actually after the launch, we said that the Vice President went to that institution and actually made certain commitments about how to improve their processes in order to reduce the human element, and also said the government is going to take action on some measures. If this, what is happening, what we are hearing, is some of the steps the government is taking. And if it's supposed to deal with bribery, allegations, and corruption and mismanagement, everybody knows we would say it's a step in the right direction. Okay,
Linda, I'd ask you to speak up a bit for me, but touching on what the Vice President said again, mentioning that everybody wants to work at the port. Again, this is not the very first time concerns about corruption allegations have come up at the port. Investigation reports have been done. Some other reports have also come up aside that. Now, how best do we deal with the concerns that have come up from that very place? Is it that the lapses are too many that these workers have the leeway to engage in whatever they want to engage in?
I must say that when the Ghana Integrity Initiative and our partners visited the GRA officers, the Customs Division, we realized and we actually identified enormous efforts they put in place to reduce the human element when it comes to doing business with the institution. And I think that will have to be highlighted for the public to know that such things are happening. But you know, in dealing with a chronic disease like corruption, it doesn't end the very first time steps are put in place to address some of the measures. So the institution is doing about it. The human element might be failing them, and there will be the need for more supervision and more controls at the ports, for instance. Also because they deal with a number of institutions within their supply chain. A lot of institutions actually deal with them, individual agents, and all manner of people deal or do business with the customs at the ports. And so it's a big issue that has to be addressed. Okay. If the government is taking steps now, we should be hoping to get some good results in the near future.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. Linda Ofoekwafo, she's Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. We're looking at the ports and customs as well. Now let's move on to other stories. And some old students of Atlantic Hall of the University of Cape Coast say they're instituting legal action against the university following the rustication of 21 students linked to bloody disturbances last March. Now, in a 4-page livid response to the decision, the alumni held nothing back in a free-flowing frenzy of jabs and punches. A 4-page response to the decision, the alumni said the decision of the university defeats logic. It's very backward and very deficient with common sense. The association further described such move very colloquial, insensitive, and a grand heinous scheme which demonstrated purposeful malice. 21 students of the university were rusticated following violence earlier in March this year when 3 students suffered stabbed wounds after students from 2 visiting universities clashed at Oguahol during its Hall Week celebration. The University of Ghana, KNUST students as well, plus students from Atlantic Hall tried to enter Oguahol, which resulted in the clash where property worth thousands of cedis were destroyed. All right, so the story we just read, we're also trying to reach the Director of Public Affairs of the university, the University of Cape Coast, to give us some more updates on what exactly is happening and what the school will be doing on this situation as well. So as and when we get him, we'll speak to him on that very matter. But let's move on to other stories. One of our headline stories, and the Aviation Minister, Cecilia Abena-Dapa, has ordered the suspension of the payment of check by the contractor renovating the WA airstrip until some additional works are finally done. The sector minister was addressing journalists at the WA airstrip during her working visit to the Upper West region.
Right. The tarmac had been there. They did some work markings on them. But the actual terminal building, we have a few issues with that. We've told him he's willing to work on them before his final payment, and I'm going to insist on that.
So more on this story, we will be trying to reach the project manager for this very airstrip. That's Scale Link Limited. They are the contractors of the project who were awarded the project in 2016 and had 6 months period within which to construct a runway. So when we get him on the phone, well, I'm told that we do have the project manager, Idrisu Dramani, on the phone. Hello, Idrisu. Good afternoon, and thanks for agreeing to speak with us.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Idrisu?
Yes, of course.
Now, we have seen pictures, especially on the runway, from a layman's point of view, which doesn't look like how a runway should be. And as project manager, are you satisfied with the work that has been done so far?
Yes, of course, I'm satisfied. Just that the minister made some comments of which we are to go by.
But, of course, she wasn't satisfied with the work. That is how come she called for a suspension of the work done so far.
Madam, it isn't that he wasn't satisfied with the whole work, but he identified some few areas and asked that we should work on those areas. But let me say that even those areas, when you take a critical look at the bill of quantities, those areas were not captured on the bill of quantities. You get that right? And to add to that, the furniture that they said they supplied, it wasn't our company that supplied the furniture. You get that right? It was a different company altogether, or a different contractor who did the supply of those furniture. You know, the wooden structure too, she made mention of. The wooden structure wasn't part of the bill of quantities. But when we're doing the work, somewhere along the line, the engineers advised that we should make provision for the wooden structure, check that the disabled will be using that. So we initially suggested using concrete, but they said to minimize cost, they wanted wooden structure. You get that? So I'm very sorry because the engineers were not around. The resident engineers were not around. But rather, their boss, Mr. Toto, was there. But because we were not at the site with him, he couldn't answer those questions.
So is that, from what you've just told me, is that to say that inspections weren't done as and when you progressed with the work?
Inspection, you know, the resident engineers were readily available. They were with us 24 hours, and they were doing the checks and inspections as well.
So what went wrong then?
Actually, you know, what they made us did, Minister wasn't satisfied with them. Even my father, who is the contractor, Alhaji Alhassan Usman, he came from Accra and said he wasn't satisfied with the wooden structure we provided. I am the project manager. You know, he said he wasn't satisfied. But the engineers were very bold enough to tell my father, the contractor, that they were satisfied with the wooden structure because they wanted to minimize costs.
And who bears the liability?
Come again?
Who bears the liability here?
Actually, you know, we were blamed. By a natural sense, we shouldn't have been blamed. They should have blamed the resident engineers because they insisted on it and we did that.
And has there been clarity on who will bear the cost here?
Actually, we are to meet with Ghana Airport because they told us earlier on that whatever they asked us to do, they will bear the cost of it. And what we did was extra work. It wasn't added to the bill of quantities.
Hello, Drisu.
Yes.
So the question is that, you are now going to meet Ghana Airports Company Limited to discuss what next, is that it?
Actually, they made us aware that they will be responsible to anything that will transpire over there. So any extra work, they will bear the cost.
Right.
And anything we are to do now, they will bear the cost because they have made us to do that.
All right, well, thank you very much. I have been speaking to Project Manager Idrisu Dramani. He is with Skill Link Company Limited. You're still watching Midday Live. You're still watching Midday Live. Thanks for staying. Let's look at other stories. And the coalition of bonded and posted allied health professionals are picketing this morning, or they've already started that. The Ministry of Health following what they describe as neglect of a promise made by Deputy Minister of Health, Tina Mensah, to provide them evidence of financial clearance with a date of posting. The group has picketed today and registered their determination to stay there until they're offered immediate employment. So this afternoon, still on this very issue, I have been joined in the studio by Solomon Yeboah. He's the president of the Allied Nurses, who are currently at the Ministry of Health. Is that right?
Yes, we are not nurses. We are allied health professionals.
Allied health professionals. Thanks for the correction. Now, how many of you are we talking about?
In total, we are 495. That is the graduates who completed within 2015 and then 16. Are waiting for employment as at now.
And you're already at the ministry?
Currently, we are at the ministry.
Yes,
currently, we have over hundreds of our students at the ministry currently, and then more of them are on their way coming, because we are expecting the 495 students across the country to be present at the Ministry of Health to demand for what rightfully and what rightfully belongs to us currently.
And what has been the progress so far? Has there been any representative from the ministry ready to talk to you?
Currently, none of the officials from the ministry has come down to our aid to speak to us. But that is not our concern. We came there with an objective. That is our clearance with immediate postings. The date should be stated before we leave the premises. If that is not given, whether they come, they don't come, that's not our concern. Our people saying in local dialect that the child that does not sleep, the mother will not also sleep until our financial clearance is given to us. We are not going to leave the premises of the ministry. Now, what are our picketing? What we are doing over there, we are not emphasizing the blame on the government, but rather we are proud of the government because he has done his best to release over 11,000 financial clearance. But the mode of the distribution of the clearance was what there was a fault in there, meaning that when we completed in August 2016, and then we approached the ministry with our problems, they made it clear to us that we should wait for the clearance to be released. When that is done, they are going to include that in the financial clearance. In February, the first over 7,000 financial clearance was released, of which we were due for. But the ministry made us to understand clearly that there were backlogs. Some of our seniors who completed before us are still in the house. Therefore, we should give them that due respect so that they have been given the opportunity. From there, then we will then follow up. We understood them perfectly, but it didn't end there. We still go ahead. We met the Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Kuku Adimamenu. We spoke of our issue. We spoke with the Human Resource Director of the ministry. We spoke with the PRO. We spoke with the Chief Director of the Ministry of Health in relation to this issue. And the assurance they gave us was, we don't have any problem. Even our co-colleague nurses, whom we all come from the same health institution, they are still doing their clinicals, that is their rotation. Okay. National service. So we should wait.
Let me hold you there, Solomon, and go to the line and speak with the PR of the Ministry of Health. That's Robert Kuju. Good afternoon, Robert. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, my sister.
Now, are you aware that the allied professionals, health professionals, are at the ministry this morning, or they've been there already?
Yeah, I'm here with them.
And I just spoke to the president, and he said that they hadn't been attended to. Have you spoken to them? What did you tell them this morning?
I haven't spoken with them yet.
And why so? Because they are at your ministry and they are demanding answers for their clearance to enable them begin work.
Well, the only word or what they want to hear is that their letter is ready. So we are working behind the scenes to see whether we'll be able to get it for them.
And how long will that take?
We are in touch with finance. I don't think they will listen to anything apart from their letter being ready.
How long will that take?
From finance so that we can talk to them.
How long will that take?
Hello?
Robert, how long is that going to take? Because for them, they have been giving several assurances and it gets back to the same point. So the question is, how long will that take to enable them have their letters?
Yeah, my sister, it will be very difficult for me to give any timeline. As I speak to you, I have a paper before me. We are expecting to recruit almost 14,000 in the coming month. It has started already, and it's ongoing. Now, the other health professionals, both the diploma and then the certificate, are included in this pending financial clearance that we are waiting from finance. So it's not like we have neglected them. We think their profession is not needed or not necessary, and that we want to put them aside and consider other professionals. No. You see, we write these letters individually, and as and when they are cleared, they call us for it. We have wished that theirs have gone through before this time. We've done all that we could. We've been in touch with finance, been talking to them. But this time, they decide as to which one to give out. And remember, it's not only Ministry of Finance. Our ministry, that is Ministry of Health, that applies for this clearance to recruit staff for their various ministries. All the ministries have their letters there. So it's not like you take
but
it there and right away it's approved.
I'm getting back to the same point, and now you're, as a PRO of the Ministry of Health, you're telling me that you don't know specifically when they're going to have their letters. They're still there.
How can I know? I don't sign the letter. It's not a question of the ministry, the PRO. Even the minister doesn't know when. Because immediately it is signed.
But I'm sure you have been speaking to your counterparts at the Ministry of Finance.
If it's not signed, if it's not approved, you can't give any assurance. Because, like, we told them that they should wait for probably a week and see what happens. The week has come and gone, and it's not ready.
But when was the last time you interacted with your colleagues at the Ministry of Finance? Can you hear me, sir?
For us, like I said, I have before me pending financial clearance, a total almost 14,000 that we are chasing. And it's including the allowance of
that point well made, Roberts. But the question I'm asking is that you have been interacting with your colleagues at the other side, which is the Ministry of Finance. So definitely, at least you should have a headway on what exactly is happening and what can be done about it.
It's just like we are telling these our brothers and sisters. We can only tell them to exercise patience and wait, because that is what they also tell us. We are in touch with them. We've been working with finance for several years. Over 15 years. So it's not like we are just sitting down somewhere doing nothing. We keep discussing the issues with them. We just talk with them. We do all that we need to do as far as these issues are concerned. And it's not only the allied professionals. We have private enrolled nurses. Those from St. Carol, we have degree nurses. The private one, we have certificate with nurses. We have certificate nurses. And we have health officers, medical officers, physician assistants, and what have you. We are chasing day in and day out to get grants for all these people, including the allied health professionals, both the diploma and then the certificate. So it's not like somebody is sleeping or somebody is not doing what he or she's supposed to be doing. We are in touch with them. But because they also decide as to which one to give out, that is why we can be specific as to when.
Okay, thank you very much, Robert Kujo. He is a PR of the Ministry of Health. Now, back to you, Solomon. You've heard Robert, and he couldn't even give specific answers or dates as to when your letters will be ready. What next?
You see, the Honorable PRO, Mr. Roberts, have been speaking to him several times in relation to this issue. But I see, I'm taking this from the angle that the deputy, the PRO, when it comes to health-wise, I would say it's not all that equipped in that angle.
Well, he's not here to defend that, so I'd prefer you not talk about that.
Okay, because that is angle I see. Because we have our colleague nurses who completed just last 2 months. When we made the ministry, we were informed that we should wait for them to complete. They are doing their rotation, their service. When they complete, they are going to post them as well as us together. That was where the agreement even started.
Okay, so you've heard what he said. What is the next option for?
The next option is,
for you and your colleagues.
As I stated earlier, we are not leaving the premises of the ministry. Nothing will cause us to move the premises until our financial clearance is given to us. From there, we are heading toward the Flagstaff House because my guys have started preparing documents to meet His Excellency.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Solomon Yaba. He's the president of allied health professionals, and we're looking at their financial clearance. You're still watching Midday Live. Now let's go back to one of our earlier stories that has to do with the rustication of some students at the Cape Coast University, and some old students of the Atlantic Hall of the University of Cape Coast say they are instituting legal action against the university following the rustication of 21 students linked to the bloody disturbance last March. Now, I will be speaking shortly to Bernard Quay. He is the PRO of Atlantic Hall Alumni Association, and he gives us some more insight to the matter that has to do with the rustication of 21 students of that very university. Good afternoon, and thanks for agreeing to speak with us. Good afternoon, can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir? Good afternoon, and thanks for agreeing to speak with us.
Good afternoon, madam. I hope you are good.
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Now, we understand that the old students of the Atlantic Hall of the University of Cape Coast are deciding to institute a legal action against the university following the rustication of 21 students. Is that the case?
Yes, please. Exactly the case.
Have you met with the school authorities on this very issue?
Yes. At the time when all these issues started unfolding, the JCRC and then the planning committee members of the whole week availed themselves to all the investigative processes that would help us to find, an amicable conclusion to all of this. Initially, we were meant to write our statement, where you wrote your statement and then what exactly you knew about the whole thing. The university assured us that indeed they were going to get back to us, and then as and when they require of us to aid in the investigations would be called upon. It also came as a very big surprise when we woke up last Saturday to notice that the electronic billboard, which is controlled from the strong room of the university, had some pictures of some 21 students being rusticated. We thought that this is very much unfair because we've not been given a hearing. It is only ideal, per natural justice, that when you find somebody culpable of an offense, you give the person a hearing, and then we also state our case.
Now, investigations were conducted, and they were indeed found culpable. So why do you think that the school is wrong with taking such an action?
We are unaware of any investigations that have gone on. You can't make an investigation of such an issue and then leave out the key actors. These people have not been subjected to any investigative process. Not once has there been, is there a disciplinary committee where any of the planning committees, planning committee members have been called upon to testify or, give his side of the story. There's been no such thing. And so how then do they just make up charges against them and then rusticate them? We think that is very much unfair.
So how was the school able to undergo their investigations then, if you're saying or you're claiming that they haven't even called one of them involved in the situation?
Yes, and so like I'm saying, that is what comes as a surprise to us. It appeared as if the decision they have made is very much final. So that is why we also have to drag them to court. For them to prove that how these 21 people are directly or indirectly linked, to the disturbances that occurred on that day, for which reason they have been rusticated.
And if you know some of these culprits, would you give them up?
Please come again. If
you know some of these culprits or persons involved in the case, would you give them up?
Obviously. That is why we have always cooperated. We have asked that, it should be a collaborative effort between the police, the university administration, and then, of course, the student leadership. Right. I'm sure that all of this, the primary, aim is that we should be able to bring out these people and they help resolve this thing. And so, what the university is doing appears as, comes as a very big surprise to us.
And before I let you go, have you condemned the act, first of all?
The Atlantic Alumni Association, in fact, we were very quick, and I think we were one of the first people to have condemned the act at the time when it happened. Now, we thought we do not really endorse, violence of any form. we are very much of the opinion that anybody who perpetrates any act of violence, must be brought to book. But then, you know what, interestingly, violence or that disturbance on that day occurred between two halls, Atlantic Hall and then Ogwa Hall. How then does it happen that 21 students of Atlantic Hall alone have been held culpable by this? Does it mean then that there was, nothing at all against the other hall? Does it mean they were asleep when all of these things were happening? Or then does it mean that they are so exonerated from all this? Secondly, you know what? There is a hall hierarchy. Whenever we draw such programs or hall week events, it goes through the hall council, it goes through the dean of students office, and then it's finally approved. How then is it that all these key actors, that the policemen that the hall paid to provide security on that day, that the dean of students office, who is supposed to have a direct control over the whole week celebration, that the hall council, who directly supervises the whole week celebration, all these actors have been left off the hook. And then you are telling us that our planning committee members are supposed to, be held responsible for this.
Okay.
Who does this anyway?
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. And I must also say that we did early on speak to Major Retired Kofi Babintum, the Director of Public Affairs of the University of Cape Coast. He agreed to speak, but he hasn't picked up our calls as we're having these interviews and during the midday news. So as and when we get him, we'll speak to him on this very issue. You're still watching Midday Live. Let's move on to other stories. And 30 women living with fistula are to undergo reconstructive surgery at the Center for Excellence for Fistula in Tamale in the Northern Region. This is the first in 2017, and it will coincide with the World Fistula Day celebration on May 23, 2017. Zubeida Ismail spent time with a 36-year-old mother of 6, Samata Fusaini, in a suburb of Tamale, and has come through with the following report.
Samata Fusaini is the first wife of Imba Fusaini. She has been living with fistula for 7 years after a 6th child. Samata said her 4 previous births were by traditional birth attendants, adding she has not suffered complications until she and her husband decided to try skilled birth at a maternity center, and that began her woes. She recounts a week after delivery, she passed stool through her female sex organ instead of her anus. This, she says, brought her sleepless nights. I had a successful delivery and was discharged, but upon reaching home I noticed I passed stool through my vagina. I complained to my family, who said it could be because I had just been put to bed, so I should hold on for a week. The most painful moment was when I could not join the family to pray, because anytime I tried performing ablution, I felt drops of feces, and that is seen as death in Islam. The 36-year-old said she and her husband then sought medical care at a Tamale teaching hospital, adding for months they shuffled between hospitals for treatment. Samata said she had lost hope, but help finally came from a friend. The news of a possible repair brought me joy. I am very happy and hoping that I would go through the surgery successfully so I can go back to my normal life. The news team followed her to the Fistula Center, where she was beginning her laboratory tests ahead of the surgery. Obstetric fistula is a hole in the birth canal, usually caused by prolonged and obstructed labor. The condition can easily reoccur in girls and women who either receive little or no medical follow-up and eventually become pregnant again.
This is Midday Live. We have more shortly.
Business, the heartbeat of every economy. The booze and the chairs of the stock market shows who's making profit and who's crumbling under the harsh business environment.
On Business Focus, we crowd out the noise for you to make informed decisions on your investment. I'm Pakwisi Asare and I talk business.
Business Focus, Mondays, 6 p.m. only on TV3.
Brought to you by
Assad Tech Roofing, Acacia Health Insurance.
Yes, Jordan Ayew now with a chip. Jimmy Butler and a foul. Right out of the timeout. Jimmy Butler attacks the rim. Oh, what a shot. That is absolute. Down and he's over. Rinko. Bolt going very near. Comes Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt storming through. He takes it again. Blake.
Sports Station shows every Monday at 9 p.m. on TV3 and is brought to you by Cowbell, Our Milk, Malta Guinness, and Betway. Everything you need to know. Captivating. Reliable. Credible and breaking news, all at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan? Super finish!
Being on top of the news has never been easy. Visit us at www.3news.com for all your reliable news. 3 News, news at your fingertips.
Thanks for staying. Members of the Coalition of Graduate Maths and Science students have on Monday picketed at the Education Ministry to demand their 8 months salary arrears. Now, the aggrieved teachers have resolved not to leave the premises of the ministry till concrete assurance is given. We'll bring you an excerpt of this very story.
I'm at Tema, but I was posted from Tema to Nandomko, 15 hours journey. Look, count your fingers. This one, and then this one, 3 of them. 15 hours journey. Now we get there, you don't even get what? Potable water to drink. It's borehole that we even drink and just to survive. We go through all this and then we come and they tell us that our salaries are not ready. What happened was, early March last year, 2016, they said when they opened the application for graduate teachers to apply, in a space of 3 weeks, 18,000 people have applied. And out of these 18,000, the minister said they can't pay all the 18,000. They have financial clearance for only 2,400. So they scaled the 18,000 to 5,000. And then this 5,000, they made us pay 62 Ghana cedis, including bankers draft. We paid 72 Ghana cedis because the bankers draft was 10 cedis. After the payment, we went and then wrote exams 21st May. 2016. After the exams, they posted us to the various villages and then schools. Now here we are. From 1st September up to now, we have not heard anything from the minister. We've exercised enough patience. Now right from, let's say, March, when they started paying, we have been coming here, they keep telling us stories, they give us letters and all that. But we have not gotten anything concrete. So we are here. If they don't give us the money, trust me, we are not leaving.
What we are going to do after this, by the end of May, if the monies don't hit our account, the next one we are going to do will be demonstration. This one is just picketing. So just watch the picketing, then imagine what the demonstration will be like.
So I'll bring you more of this in our subsequent bulletins. Next, we have business.
The business segment is brought to you by
Time now for business, and we focus straight on the policy rates, which information we've gathered is that it has been reduced by 100 basic points. That's basis point to 22.5% from 23.5%. The drop has been attributed to a number of factors. So I will go over the phone line to speak to my colleague Parkwesi Asari, who is at the Bank of Ghana, to give us some more updates on the policy rates. Good afternoon, Parkwesi.
Hi, Wendy.
Now, can you tell us the reasons that have been given for the review of the policy rate?
Well, thank you very much, Wendy. So essentially, like you stated, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank has been meeting for the past 2 days to review the health of the economy and to essentially come up with a new policy rate. Now, as our viewers may know, the policy rate is essentially the rate at which the central bank lends to commercial banks, and so that ultimately will reflect on the loans that you are servicing. Now, what it is that the policy rate until today was 23.5%. and it's been reduced by 100 basis points to 22.5%. Now, the new governor, who is having to address his very first policy meeting, essentially said that the reduction was basically due to the balance to threats of growth and inflation. Now, on the side of growth, what we're being told is that economic activity over the past few months has picked up, and it's been mainly driven by growth in private sector credit. We've seen improved business sentiment and the easing of credit, especially to the private sector. Furthermore, we've seen increase in oil production from both the Jubilee and the 10 fields, and also the coming on stream of further activity in the oil and gas sector from the Sankofa, Jinyamin, Tumi fields by the third quarter, which should add some more impetus to the overall growth prospects. Now, on the side of inflation, we've seen inflation go down over the past few months. I think the very final inflation figure we got was a slight increase, but generally, it's due to the risk to growth and inflation, and that's why they decided to reduce it by 100 basis points. So subsequently, what we expect is that the commercial banks would react to this reduction, and we should ultimately see a reduction in interest rates.
Thank you very much indeed, Pakwesi Asare, for that update, and you bring us some more in our subsequent bulletins. But that's all for business. Next, we have sports with Nana Kujafre.
And Wendy, coming up at the results from the MTN FA Cup, we'll tell you who the under-17 team, the Black Starlets, will be playing in the semi-final of the ongoing under-17 AFCON in Gabon. Stay with us. And welcome back to Midday Live here on TV3. My name is Anako Jafre with the sports updates. Let's begin with results from the MTN FA Cup with key games that were played in the round of 32. And as you can see on your screens, Accra had to folk at the Accra Sports Stadium, dispatched Kotoku Royals, beating them by 4-0. Proud United were also up against Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Asante Kotoko beat them 1-0. They had gone 8 games without a win in the Ghana Premier League, but this one will be a good result for them to boost their confidence. And in the Brown-Hafo derby, it was Brekum Chelsea who would be United by 2-0, while All Stars beat Bolga All Stars by 2-1. Mediama SC were up against New Edubiasi and beat them by 2-0. Meanwhile, the Black Starlets of Ghana will need to go past Niger in the semi-finals of the CAF Under-17 Nations Cup on Wednesday as they continue their quest to lift the Under-17 Nations Cup in Gabon. Niger confirmed their place in the last 4 after pipping Tanzania 1-0 to finish as Group A runners-up. Elsewhere, Mali will also be facing Guinea after they mauled Angola 6-1 in their last group fixture to top Group B. And now we go on to our next story, which has to do with Ghana's Strongest, and season 6 of TV3's Ghana's Strongest took a step further as the first week of the main show began this weekend at the Teshi Presby Square here in Accra.
After an exciting elimination stage last week, it all came down to the main show of TV3's Ghana's Strongest, season 6, which took place at the Teshi Presby Square in Accra. The competition saw all 12 athletes who made it through from the final eliminator take part. First event on the card was the overhead shoulder press. Ahmed Bouache came up on top with 24 repetitions in 30 seconds. But the show had few disappointing performances from the new faces in there, with the likes of Don Star and Victor Ampofo all pulling their way through the weights. The second challenge featured the very tricky Lua Lua. This section could not see the athletes show what they've got as the rain disrupted what was a charged atmosphere. The athletes eventually escaped eviction on the day. But the challenge had a tie as Accra-based Raymond Robertson and last season's finalist Ahmed Boache all pulled through with a time of 24 seconds in a 40-meter distance. The athletes put in a great performance and will have another chance to show the country they are ready to take over from last season's winner, Courage Adupo. The chances will come. They have to take it with both arms, displaying as well their hunger for the coveted title. Ghana's strongest, the power to do.
Let's go for a story now. Canadian-born rapper Aubrey Drake Graham, popularly known as Drake, set a record at the 2017 Billboard Awards when he picked the most awards. Here are highlights from the event.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
Hip-hop artist Drake has set a new record in the history of the Billboard Music Awards. The rapper swept 13 awards at the 2017 edition of the annual event, beating British-born singer Adele, who previously held the record of 12 awards in a single night. His wins include Top Artist, Top Male Artist and Top Billboard 200 Artist of the Year. Performances by the likes of Nicki Minaj, who opened the show, and Bruno Mars lit the atmosphere. 71-year-old saucy pop star Cher was honored with the Billboard Icon Award of the Year for her contributions to the industry. To mark the 20th anniversary of the song My Heart Will Go On from the famous Titanic movie, soul singer Celine Dion did a breathtaking rendition. The 2017 edition of the Billboard Awards, which was hosted by Ludacris and Vanessa Hudgens, took place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, United States on Sunday, May 21.
Well, that's all for entertainment, but away from that story, Ghana is to have its first ever spaceship. The project, which is a public-private partnership between Keshe Foundation and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. The Spaceship Research Center construction will start this summer at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission enclave located at Hacho here in Accra. The duration of the project is to be completed in a maximum of 6 months' time. Now, the Keshe Foundation International intends to invest in a total of $21 million in this project. The project will consist of an administration block, healthcare facility, that's a clinic, factory research center, the first African flight launch pad. The clinic is to be accessible to the general public. The project is in with President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's One District, One Factory agenda. We'll bring you some more on that story also in the subsequent bulletins, but that'll be all for this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching Midday Live. I am Wendy Lai. Do have a great afternoon.